Hi everybody, Ethan here, and I just wanted to chat with you all for a second about a couple of things that are on my mind. I know you have better things to do than listen to me yammer at you, so I'm going to try and keep this short. Um, First thing I want to do is just show you what I'm doing here with this saber. This is the Jedi Butcher. Some of you may remember as I put the pieces back together, you can sort of see what it looks like without, with all the shrouds and stuff on it. So take off the lower grip section, take off the upper grip section, the emitter, expose the crystal chamber that was inserted in there, and to do that I had to loosen up this retention screw that keeps the crystal chamber aligned and in place, and make sure that it doesn't wiggle around when it gets dropped. What I'm trying to do here is replace some switches. Now, normally these little recessed tactile switches that I make are in pretty high demand. Let me get my face back in camera. And that's, which is nice to see, but I guess they're not everybody's cup of tea. The person I sent this to, I suppose, for whatever reason, decided he wanted a larger switch in there. And one of the reasons I use those switches in particular is I knew I was going to cram a lot of space in this, a lot in this little space. Let me show you what I'm looking at right here. And you can see there that with the chassis retention system inside there, I've got wires coming up to accent LEDs in the crystal chamber. I've got wires going through to the neopixel connector. I've got switch wires. I've got recharge port wires. And so I had to do some very tight wire management in there. Now I am looking at replacing those two tactile switches with these e-cigarette switches, right? The reason I'm going with those, not only are they, I guess this is anodized. Some of them are anodized, some of them are powder coated. I think this looks anodized to me, but they're very short, and I can fit two back to back in that small space and still have wire management space. The other reason I'm using these is that they're just super easy to touch. Like they're tactile, but they're still in that AV anti-vandal type switch setup. So hopefully you won't hit them on accident too much when you get this back. You know who you are. However, in order to put an auxiliary switch on this bad boy, I drilled a hole in the back here, 180 degrees flush, put in a couple of crystals to give a little tactile feel so you know when you're near the switch without looking. And now what I've got to do is drill out a space on the back side that will accept a switch this size. But I want to do that without necessarily desoldering my recharge port. I should probably do that, but I don't really want to desolder that and glue it. So I don't know. I might just have to own up to it and do it. But I think what I'm going to do instead, desolder the wires off this switch, leave everything still assembled the way I want it, and take a small piece of metal from like an old shroud piece and toss that in. So it's going to have that concave shape and act as a shield around the wiring that's inside of it. So once I desolder this switch, I can fish those wires back through. All my wiring will be back inside there. And then I'll basically have something like this acting as a shield so that if I do somehow sneeze or something on the drill press, which I'm not, but if I did, right, there's that safeguard there so that I won't just trash the wiring inside. That's going to save me just that extra, 10 or 20 or however many minutes it takes me to remove the epoxy from this, gently take it out, flexing those wires, because anytime you flex wires, it could just be a bad day, right? So I'd like to leave those wires in place in the tight management space that I've already got. It's in between several plastic washers that I'm using as anchors here that I've, without going into detail, anchored in here so the chassis system is one part with the hilt. And I don't want to give that up. I don't want to undo all of that mess of mechanical secures. So I think I'm just going to do it that way, make it easy on myself, and protect myself from shooting myself in my foot, so to speak. So I think that's the way we're going to do it. That being said, let me talk about what's really on my mind, because there are a lot of people out there who will try and sell you on more than they can deliver. There are a lot of people out there who will tell you that they have the brightest, best, most awesome. And there are times when I think I have the brightest, best, most awesome, most well-balanced, most durable, most, beautiful, whatever. But I'm not going to make that claim for myself. If that's true, then other people will point it out for me. So I get a lot of customers emailing me links to YouTube videos, not unlike this one, where people are hyping a product. And what they'll do is take a blade and they'll do little tricks. They'll dim the lights behind them so the blade washes out the camera and it looks super bright. Or they'll just make wild claims and not show you the circumstances in which their claims are not true. Because that's the thing about marketing claims. The best and the worst ones are true. They're just not telling you the whole story. If I'm trying to sell you a soda, I'm going to say it tastes great. I'm going to say it has fewer calories. I'm not going to tell you about all the things that soda will do to you and the ways that soda, if it becomes a habit, can have deleterious health effects, right? That doesn't help me sell my product. And neither would complete honesty with some of these marketing claims that you're seeing out there. And I think I may talk about some in particular, but I'm going to hold off on that for a minute. But let's just say that if you know me at all, if you've ever worked with me, you know that my reputation is everything to me. And I stake that reputation on integrity and communication. So if you ask me what I'm going to do for you, I will tell you. And I will focus on the advantages if I think that what I'm doing is advantageous for you. Because I'm not going to do anything, obviously, that isn't. But I'm going to explain to you why I'm thinking what I'm thinking. I'm going to explain to you the pitfalls and why I think the course of action I'm describing is the course of action that we should select as the way ahead. Okay, I'm not going to walk around it. 99% of the time, the client goes with me on the decision because I've explained it. I've explained the other options. I've explained their advantages and their disadvantages, as well as the costs and benefits of going with the course of action that I'm describing. Every once in a while, a client will overrule me. And if it's possible, in other words, if it's not going to like wreck the build, yeah, I'll go with it, because this is somebody's saber and I want them to have the saber that they want. But at the same time, when you see somebody doing something for twice what other people charge, claiming that something is significantly better, but you don't see everyone else in the marketplace doing it. Nobody's imitating them. Not because it's like so crazy new that, they've invented sliced bread all over again, right? Then you have to wonder, why isn't everyone else doing this? Why is this person's product 2 or 3 times as much as other people would charge, whom I know are competent? So you look at people you trust, you look at people you know generally to be competent, and you look at these claims and say, well, wait, if these claims are always true, then why isn't everyone jumping on this bandwagon? And so without going into a lot of detail, I think you've all seen examples of what I'm talking about. Please exercise basic analytical caution when you deal with people who really want to take your money, especially if they're making claims that may be hard to substantiate, especially if they don't go into detail upon request about any drawbacks or risks involved. And please, for the love of all that is holy, if they want to charge twice as much as everyone else is charging, and no one else is imitating them, trying to compete, then maybe they're not really the leader in the market that they claim to be. Does that make sense? I hope so. Sorry for the rant, but I just saw some shenanigans in some of the forums today that are absolutely ridiculous and sort of have my blood boiling. So while I'm sitting here working on this, I just thought maybe you guys would like another voice of reason out there. Please use that gray matter between your ears. Ask people if you don't know. Look around, shop around, and you'll know that if If you come to me and I can't do it, I will tell you. If you come to me and somebody else can do it better, I will tell you. So, anyway, be well. Happy sabering.